Thank you so much, Rachel. Can you hear me well? Okay, so hello, everybody. It is such a pleasure to be with all of you again. And as you can see, thank you so much for staying with us. As you can see, we are the last talk of the day. So basically, it's like being the last dish on the menu. So I would say you are having penguins as dessert, right? So you know that this year we are celebrating many special things for us because this is the 10th anniversary year of the Global Penguin Society. So in a more personal level, it is also important because I'm going to be 50 in a few weeks. And the most important part is that, as Rachel said, I spent 30 years of my life working on penguin conservation. So what started out as a dream to work on penguin conservation was growing stronger and became a reality. And in 30 years, we have been able to benefit 1.6 million penguins worldwide. And it has been the accumulation of baby steps, because acre by acre, we have been protecting millions of acres of penguin habitat. And all of these have been only possible thanks to this powerful and fantastic partnership with amazing supporters like you. So thank you very much. So let's dive into the penguin world. I want to show you how difficult it is right now to be a penguin on this planet. What are the problems they are facing, and what are we doing exactly to help them? And penguins can be seen as ocean sentinels because due to their features, they reflect very well the conditions of the coasts, but also the health of the oceans. And the oceans are critical for the existence of this planet because, for example, they provide oxygen and also provide food, and they regulate the weather of the entire planet. So I want to tell you some particular features because penguins, due to these characteristics, they are particularly vulnerable to the main threats the oceans are facing. First of all, when they are on land, penguins breed in colonies. So in one moment of the year, they are all together in one place. So they are more vulnerable to particularly threats like introduced predators on an island, for example. On the other hand, penguins, they only lay 1 or 2 eggs per year. So if those eggs are lost, they lost the breeding the complete year. And for example, a king penguin takes 15 months to raise only 1 chick. And in addition, penguins, they swim hundreds and thousands of kilometers in the ocean when they are feeding, looking for food, and also when they are migrating. So they explore vast areas of the oceans. But if I ask you, what do you think is the main feature of penguins? One idea? Need help? So penguins do not fly, right? Well, except the ones that practice hang gliding. So, because they lost the ability to fly millions of years ago in order to improve the ability to dive, because that helped them to avoid competition with other animals and have more access to food. So I want you to introduce you the monster penguin. This is the digital recreation of a real penguin that lived in New Zealand 65 million years ago. The fossil of this guy was recently found in New Zealand, and it had 5 feet tall and weighed 170 pounds. So, of course, a bird like this could not fly, but it was a fantastic diver. The problem is that not flying was a great advantage many million years ago, but now became a problem for penguins because they're more exposed to some threats. And the issue with penguins is that they are facing threats when they are in the ocean, but also when they are on land, because they accumulate threats in both environments. And this is what is making populations decline. So the oceans are in trouble, and so are penguins. And 55% of the 18 species of penguins are considered threatened by IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. And this is because 5 species are listed as endangered, 5 others as vulnerable, 3 as near threatened, and the last 5 as least concern. But there is a common wrong perception that penguins are doing okay, and they're not doing okay. Some species, for example, are in deep trouble. How do you Yes. So like the yellow-eyed penguin, for example, the global population is 1,700 pairs. They only live in New Zealand, and they are declining. The African penguin population collapsed from 1 million 100 years ago to 21,000 pairs now. And of course, the Galapagos penguin population, this is the rarest penguin species, is less than 2,000 pairs now. So to help penguins address these threats, we created the Global Penguin Society, which is the first and only international organization dedicated exclusively to the conservation of penguins. So to show you an example of part of our work, I want to show you this video. This is a new video. Over half of the 18 species of penguins that exist in this planet are considered threatened. Penguins are very sensitive to all the alterations in their habitats. When the chicks, for example, are small, the food should be close to the colonies. But climate change is changing that, so they have to swim further. And by the time they come back, the chicks are dead. In the ocean, they are affected by marine pollution and fisheries. And when they come on land, they are affected by human disturbance and also the illegal traffic of penguins. I have a special connection with penguins for a long time. The first person that ever told me about something that was called a penguin was my grandmother, and that was very special for me. And then when I was 18 years old and I visited a big penguin colony for the first time, I felt that connection. So I realized that I wanted to make a change. The colony of Villabriga is kind of special in our work of 30 years. We discovered this colony 10 years ago. It had only 6 pairs of nests. The place was a complete mess. So we decided to help address these major threats through science, management, and education activities. And now the colony is almost 1,900 pairs. At the beginning, we were working with the local kids because that's very important. But at some point, we decided that we needed to reach global community. We are reaching millions of kids from all over the planet, online, from one of the most remote places on Earth.
Work in science and education is very necessary to change the behavior of people. In the future, the children are the people that can do something to take care of the ocean and the penguins.
Our goal is to foster a conservation culture through the penguins. In terms of science, we will study 3 penguin species in New Zealand, in Chile, and in Argentina. In terms of management, we're going to work with governments, other NGOs, and landowners to promote the creation of marine national parks. So far, we were able to protect over 8 million acres of land and ocean. When you work through penguins and the international community, you can protect big environments and many other species that coexist with the penguins. It's about passion, it's about energy. You have to inspire people. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is a video that was presented this year because we were very lucky and honored to receive the Rolex Award for Enterprise for our work in Global Penguin Society. So thank you very much. So as our name indicates, we are global and we have different activities in 16 countries. In some countries we have our own representatives, and in some other cases we work with partners. And we work at different scales because penguins, they have global problems, but we also need to work at local scales. At a higher level, we created the WCN Penguin Specialist Group that represents a high level of scientific rigor and credibility with regards to the conservation of penguins and has impact on international and national policy. Another example is that we have been recently included as a member of the high-level panel for sustainable ocean economy, which is led by 14 prime ministers and presidents that are committed to develop solutions for ocean health. And at a lower level, I want to share with you this good news because last December, after working with the government of Argentina and many other NGOs, we were able to designate 2 national marine parks in the south extreme of South America, and they sum up 100,000 square kilometers, and it is very important penguin habitat for penguins. And, you know, as Rachel mentioned, fisheries are a big issue for many marine wildlife. And as you saw in the video, penguins are facing many threats. And fisheries have removed enormous number of fish, of prey species for penguins. One of the problems is they compete for food with the penguins because they fish in the same areas where the penguins are feeding. But the other problem with the penguins and the fisheries is that the fisheries cause direct mortality. Penguins die because they get caught in their nets. And I want to show you these very sad pictures where you can see a group of fishermen that they are having fun showing the penguins, dead penguins that died in their nets. So not everybody loves and respects penguins as we think they do. The other big problem now for the penguins is that plastic, as you know, is an emerging issue. Every single year, 8 to 9 million tons of plastics are discarded in the ocean. This is a picture taken in one of the beaches where we live in Patagonia, which is supposed to be one of the most pristine areas on Earth. Most of the things, you see lots of plastics there. Most of the black things are black plastic boxes that are discarded by the fishing boats in the ocean. And we also find pieces of nets that are drifting away and killing many wildlife, you know? And this is how plastics are impacting penguins. This is what we find. This is a Magellanic penguin with a plastic bottle around the neck, and it was very difficult for him to dive and also to get food. And in this case, we see a juvenile with a piece of a plastic bag, and when we found him, he could hardly breathe. So I want to show you how these threats are impacting the individual lives of penguins. This is Clarita. She's a female, and she was the mother of the first chick ever hatched, the very first chick that hatched in this colony that we discovered 11 years ago, and the same colony that you saw in the video. So as you can see, Clarita is incubating an egg, one of the eggs, and at the same time, she's got a very big plastic bottle in the back of the nest, and she was surrounded by a lot of plastics. In our studies, we follow many penguins, and we follow her for all her life. Clarita had a partner he was Honorio, and they bred together for 8 years, and they raised 7 fantastic chicks. But 2 years ago, Honorio never came back after a winter migration. So we waited, and we think he died, and we think he died as a victim of the fisheries. So what do we do to help them? As part of our research project, we track the penguins and to find out where are they when we don't see them, and to find out the feeding routes. With this information, for example, we want to work with the government to create a marine protected area to reduce the impact of the fisheries in the feeding grounds, and also to expand the protection on land to minimize the human disturbance when penguins are breeding. And other activity that we do is we organize cleanup campaigns, engaging kids and adolescents and communities, removing plastics from penguin habitat. We want to replicate this in the 3 tips of the world: South America, South Africa, and Oceania, Australia, and New Zealand. And a big part of this activity will be supported by Disney Nature, thanks to the revenues of the Penguins movie that was released last April. And these funds are going to be helpful for us to conduct research and also conservation. So we're very grateful for this support. So it is very important for us to remove the plastics, but also to avoid more plastic pollutions. And we are conducting multiple actions to increase awareness about this big issue that is affecting not only penguins, but all of us. So now I want you to leave Lujan. She's going to explain more about these activities, and I'll be back later.
Thanks, Poppy. Hello to everybody. I am Lujan. I am a marine biologist, and I manage the educational program of Global Penguin Society. One of the main activities that we do is to give talks to children at primary school about penguins and the conservation problems they face in their habitat. After that, we take them to visit the penguin colony. Some of them, this is the first time that they can see the ocean and the penguins. So far, we have taken over 6,000 kids to see penguins. And our goal is to make children understand the importance of protecting the oceans. Sorry, you can see, as you can see in this picture, there are the kids looking the penguins. This year, in the 10th anniversary of Global Penguin Society, we launched our educational program for kindergartens in order to give a conservation message from an early age. We think that it's very important because these kids in the future are protecting the oceans. We elaborate educational material such as different types of books. Also, we elaborate booklets such as Messenger of the Sea that we distribute for free in 5 Spanish-speaking countries where penguins live. This year, we elaborate together with Disney Company an educational kit in English and Spanish to reach global audiences of kids. As was mentioned before, we organized the 5th edition of the activity Cleaning the House of the Penguin. You can see this image, the beach before and after the cleanup. And the key goal of this activity is to raise awareness in the community about the negative effects of the plastic pollution in the ocean due to the human activities. In addition, this year we have developed a campaign to reduce the single-use plastic in beach resorts, and which was very successful. So we are planning now to include more beach resorts to this program. So we believe that the problem of the plastic pollution in the ocean should be addressed from its origin. Yes. Well, I am so happy to sharing with you, our work with you, and thank you for your attention.
So as a closing line, I just want to say that, as you can see, penguins are facing many threats in all the southern hemisphere. And when you support the Global Penguin Society, you are helping many penguins like Clarita, the female, and also her chicks. But you are also supporting many other wildlife that coexist with the penguins. And you are contributing to the livelihoods of thousands of people that depend on ecotourism based on penguins. So if you support us, you are helping penguins, the ocean, and the entire planet. So thank you very much.